And there's actually many, many regions of the world that are carnivore. Many. People talk about the Maasai, but there's so many. They're in perfect mental state.
They just eat meat?
Yeah, meat and dairy.
Okay.
Yeah, meat and dairy.
Yes, it's normal to drink blood. It's just a main food and a main drink for them. Because the Maasai, we depend on a food from the cow, which is meats and blood.
Sorry. I first came across raw milk talk because of Liz Seibert, New York City model and YouTube Shorts favorite tall girl.
In my years of searching, okay, I have never found a maxi dress that goes all the way down on me.
If you weren't aware, raw milk talk is the hot new talk. Isn't that right? You like raw milk.
The reason that we love buying dairy from the Amish is that they don't pasteurize their dairy. It's actually illegal to sell unpasteurized or raw milk in stores, so buying from farms is the only way to get it.
One of the things that you shared recently was that you drink raw milk for gut health.
Raw milk has gotten a really bad name, but it's like really good for you and it's amazing for your gut, and it's actually like the cleanest milk because it hasn't been messed with. I started drinking it and I became kind of obsessed with it.
This is why you should be drinking raw milk. Let's start with the benefits. Consumption of raw milk in kids who grow up on or off farms leads to lower rates of asthma, eczema, and allergies in adulthood. Raw milk has been associated with beneficial changes in the gut microbiome, including increased levels of lactobacillus.
Liz Seibert, in turn, led me down a rabbit hole of online fake nutritionist quackery, the likes of which I had not encountered before.
Eventually, I got to a point where I decided I wasn't going to do anything if it didn't have an ancestral basis. And most of the things that we're taught have zero ancestral basis. Even things like, I was just having a discussion about oatmeal. Oatmeal was never a human food until 1910.
There's some real, legitimate, interesting studies that show that the microbiome could affect a wide swath of health conditions. As you probably also heard if you've been following any of the raw milk TikTok drama, raw milk is also pretty dangerous for people with weakened immune systems. The process of pasteurization and heating up the milk kills potentially dangerous bacteria like Salmonella, E. coli, and Listeria. Listeria, to me, is the scariest. It's something that I thought a lot about while I was pregnant. We made a whole video about it. Listeria can actually be deadly to unborn fetuses. And it can also sicken and kill elderly people, or people, like I said, with particularly weakened immune systems. In addition to the raw milk, Liz shares that her diet also consists of a lot of red meat, butter, cheese, bone broths, a few berries scattered in here and there.
Let me show you how I eat all of my food within 3 to 4 hours every day. I start eating every day around 9:30 a.m. I always start with a coffee with a lot of heavy cream. Then I take a lot of supplements. After I did a blood test, we found out that I had a bunch of nutrient deficiencies. So basically I just take every vitamin that I'm deficient in. Breakfast, I make this like cheesy burger thing with kimchi. Also, just taking a moment here to appreciate how good my skin has gotten from this diet. I literally can't even believe it. I top the burger with a fried egg, and this is my breakfast that I eat around 10:30 a.m. I take 32 pills in the morning, so I just try to swallow as many as I possibly can at once. Around 11:30, I make a yogurt bowl with some kefir for some extra probiotics. Also, it's important to say that I am doing this under supervision of numerous professionals, so don't take this as medical advice. Please always work with a professional because everyone's needs are so unique and different. Don't watch me. Swear to God. Anyways, at 12:30, I usually make a cup of broth, add a ton of beef. It's a little bit hard to get down, I'm not gonna lie, but it's worth it. I have my absolute favorite snack in the world, which is berries and Amish cheddar cheese. That's everything I ate today.
Before I forget, I should also probably mention that she also eats 32 supplements a day, which a lot of people pointed out, like if you're eating that many pills, maybe your diet isn't that great.
Let's talk about the fact that I take 32 pills in the morning. It's a lot. A lot of people are saying that the fact that I have to take so many pills means that my diet is not good. And yes, it's true. I have a ton of nutrient deficiencies. Nutrient deficiencies take years to develop. Given the fact that I got blood work right when I started my new diet, I think it's pretty safe to assume that my nutrient deficiencies came from my years of disordered eating and eating processed junk. When I first started this diet, my nutritionist told me that all of my deficiencies would go away eventually if I just stuck with the diet. But if I got blood work and saw exactly what I'm deficient in, then I could supplement and make the deficiencies go away sooner. leading me to feel better quicker.
It reminds me of the high-carb, low-fat vegans where a lot of them were saying, oh, I used to have an eating disorder, and now I just eat 17 bananas a day. Eating disorder solved. Not a problem anymore. It's like, I know, some people's diets are crazy. If you're a healthy adult and you want to take the risk of drinking potentially contaminated raw milk, probably nothing that bad will happen to you. Maybe some stomach cramping, some diarrhea. You're free to take that risk. But people like Liz Seibert, who promote raw milk and the rest of her kind of extreme high-fat diet as the key to health, she says that it helped cure her of her acne and her depression.
I was cycling through different doses of antidepressant medication. I got to a point where I was like, enough is enough. Like, I know I can fix this. That's when I found my nutritionist who cured herself of chronic illness just through diet.
People have reached out to her online and said, hey, where do you get your nutrition advice? I would like someone to provide me with a similarly tailored diet plan. That's when you get into territory of like, where are you getting this? And where she's getting it is a grifter named Mary Ruddick.
And I was like, I'm just gonna fall in love with my big toe.
I guess for legal reasons, I should say a grifter in my opinion. I'll show you what I'm talking about.
For educational purposes only.
For educational, what?
Isn't that what TikTok says when they like they want to get away with something in the algorithm? They're like, this is for educational purposes only.
This is for,
you can say whatever you want, and it's just like not a fact. It's declared.
Right. I'm calling her a grifter for educational and entertainment purposes only. For legal reasons, I don't know if she's a fake nutritionist or not, but yeah, we'll have a look and we'll see what you think. Nutritionist is one of those things where anyone can say that they're a nutritionist. It's not like being a licensed dietitian where you actually have to have some credentials to back it up. On her website it says, meet Mary Ruddick, dubbed the Sherlock Holmes of health. Ma'am, who dubbed you the Sherlock Holmes of health? Tell me who. She claims to have dealt with her own debilitating illnesses and depression.
At one point, I was on a breathing machine and my kidneys were failing and I had organ damage all over. Really bad neuropathy, and if anyone has experienced that, it's like being burned alive.
With a high-fat, low-carb diet.
The human cell only requires 2 nutrients. It requires protein and fat. That's it. And if you're dealing with an illness and you need to rebuild something, you need protein and fat.
Along with light therapy, gratitude journaling, and coloring. Mary claims that her diets can help people treat a shockingly wide variety of ailments, including, but not limited to, multiple sclerosis, fibroids, diabetes, liver disease, psoriasis, shingles, encephalitis, obesity, male hormonal issues, depression, anxiety, PCOS, cancer, chronic pain, Alzheimer's, etc. Oh my God, it goes on and on. Mary Ruddick claims to travel the world studying ancestral nutrition. She believes that tribal people and their diets have the keys to health.
Areas that I go to, and there's actually many, many regions of the world that are carnivore. Many. People talk about the Maasai, but there's so many. They're in perfect mental state.
They just eat meat?
Yeah, meat and dairy.
Okay.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, meat and dairy.
The Maasai are nomadic herdsmen whose diet relies heavily on the milk that they get from their cows. From what I've seen online, they also fill in some nutritional gaps with cow's blood.
Yes, it's normal to drink blood. It's just a main food and a main drink for them. Because the Maasai, we depend on a food from the cow, which is meat and blood.
So what's interesting about the Maasai is that even though they do have this extremely high saturated fat diet, studies have shown that they have surprisingly low cholesterol. Some studies have shown that there may be genetic reasons for why the Maasai have adapted to this much higher fat diet. Also, I'm not sure how applicable the Maasai's diet and lifestyle are to people living in Western civilization. Like the Maasai are always on the move. They're a nomadic people. They're constantly walking or running. Exercise has a protective effect against bad cholesterol. I think it stands to reason that the high meat, raw milk diet might have a different effect on the sedentary 9-to-5 work from home crowd than it might on someone who herds cattle all day. Just a thought, I'm not a nutritionist, but just before we move on from Mary's studies of traditional diet, I wanted to mention that she tends to fetishize her ancestral friends, saying that she goes weak in the knees for their traditional displays of masculinity.
Whoa.
Because her hormones are responders to stimuli. Mary Ruddick has a lot to say about masculinity and femininity and how traditional gender roles affect our hormones and our overall quality of life.
And we have different hormones that make us feel good. So for instance, if I cuddle a puppy or hold a baby, I'm like through the roof. My ovaries are exploding, right? You're not going to get that same response. You might feel really good from it, but you get your kind of bliss hormone from vasopressin. Even in acts that males and females do together, let's say after intercourse, right? Women, we get a ton of oxytocin from orgasm. Ton. That's our anti-stress hormone. I just want to emphasize. That's what makes us feel good. Men, you get some good feelings, but it's not the same. And then afterwards, we always want to cuddle, because when we cuddle, when we spoon, when the females spoon, it balances our estrogen and our hormones. For men, if you spoon too long, it can start driving up your estrogen. So you can cuddle for a while, but I think that old joke about, hey, go make me a sandwich, there's a reason for that, right? It's actually hormonal. Let's say we're married and you're off, you're working, you come home. If you come home and I kind of ignore you, or I'm just like, hey, and walk off, or I give you a honey-do list right away, that kills your testosterone, literally kills it. If you come home and I'm like, I am so glad you're home, and I cheerlead you, and I'm like, you're amazing. Thank you for providing for the family. I have missed you. I cannot wait to serve you this dinner. Your testosterone goes through the roof. So when men have a cheerleader around them, that really boosts their testosterone a lot.
I'm not going to go to great lengths to debunk these claims. Mary's not citing any real research. She's just doing that new age woo-woo, shoot from the hip style of rhetoric where she's pretty much relying on her audience to basically already agree with what she's saying. And I'm sure a lot of people are happy living their lives according to traditional gender roles. Do whatever you want. I've noticed this with a lot of these gals online, including the trad wife community, who are peddling the idea that, traditional femininity is what's best. And meanwhile, they themselves are engaged in entrepreneurial activities outside of the home. According to her Instagram, Mary is traveling the world to meet with travel people and giving keynote addresses at low-carb conferences. I don't think that leaves a lot of time to be at home nurturing a baby or being a man's cheerleader. Just gonna say I'm very suspect of people who have this what's best for thee is not for me philosophy. She also believes in the healing power of soup and is one of the directors behind Captain Soup, a meal service company that sells frozen soups, 18 servings for $200.
I lived on this one soup recipe for 2 years, but I did so because it actually worked. It reversed my neuropathies, it reversed my diseases in my kidney and my liver. By a year in on that diet, eating that soup twice a day as my only meals, I was in full remission and I was actually able to go back to school. It was truly remarkable. So when I say that soup saved my life, I quite literally mean I would not be here today if it was not for this soup diet.
Remind me, Mary, what tribe is it that eats mostly soup? Where's the soup tribe?
Every tribe has a soup.
Every tribe has a soup, but it's not their main thing. She's like, soup is so healing. I only eat soup.
Yeah,
and
soup
it's
is
like,
not a culture. It's like everyone has soup, right?
She's giving the soup girls a bad name. Let's go back to the gut microbiome. Studies have shown that diets high in vegetables, legumes, pulses tend to be the diets that promote gut health. In areas where people have particularly long lives, such as the Ikaria Island in Greece and the island of Okinawa in Japan, people tend to eat vegetable-heavy diets alongside a lot of beans. In Greece, they eat a lot of chickpeas, whereas in Japan, they eat a lot of soybean-based foods. And this fact, obviously, rubs Mary the wrong way. She went on her own exploratory visit to the island of Ikari And she says that what she found there is that people actually do eat a lot of meat. And to prove this, she showed photographs of meat that she took in restaurants.
This site is anything but plant-based.
A lot of people popped up in the comments to say what people eat in restaurants is not necessarily perfectly reflective of what people who live to 100 years eat when they're at home. Mary says that she actually went to a lot of people's homes, but that she wasn't allowed to film. How convenient! How convenient that that just wasn't allowed. On her website, Mary also has bonus content, keys to building a profitable practice, where she says that she'll share with you her secrets to how she earns over 6 times the annual revenue of the majority of nutrition practitioners, while it should say while it doesn't, it says well traveling the world. And how she has recently gone from a one-to-one to group coaching her patients, and how this is creating more time freedom and the ability to further scale her impact. Also, the #1 business strategy that has set Mary apart from the rest. I think that that strategy is probably selling 18 servings of soup for $200. Oh, he just farted. Also on Reddit, I saw someone saying that they thought about signing up for one of her one-on-one coaching strategies, but that they were told it could cost up to $6,000. Quite an operation she's got going here. Influencers touting this, saying that it works for them, obviously makes it appealing to a lot of people. My own father has been threatening to buy half a cow and to try the carnivore diet. He keeps saying, I've got a guy.
Yeah, I mean a butcher, I guess, is the guy.
No, it's just it's a cow guy.
Should my dad, a nearly sedentary office worker, be eating the diet of the Maasai? I would argue no. Instagram Reels are making it all seem plausible, even desirable. That's all I have to say about Liz Seibert and the raw milk to tribal ancestor diet pipeline. Thanks for coming with me on this journey. Comment any other videos that you'd like to see below, and if you wouldn't mind liking the video, that really helps the algorithm tell people about us. And see you next time. Thanks again. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Now that we're done, the baby has nothing to say.
Yeah, you're very true.
Ain't that how it is?